I was gonna say, getting back to the Chargers and Daniel's question.
Oh yeah.
I like what they've done so far. I mean, I don't think they've went out and got crazy with a bunch of splashy moves. I think they kind of stayed true to themselves and bringing in guys that can come in. I like the Najee Harris pickup. I like Becton. I think that makes sense. I like bringing back Jefferson. I really love bringing back Mike Williams. And giving somebody that Justin knows really well. They know he fits in terms of, that's right, in terms of the locker room. They know what kind of guy he is. And with Mike, it's just always about just staying healthy.
Yeah.
And he's going to produce if he's out there week in and week out. So I just thought that was like a slam dunk signing. And it wasn't a whole lot of money. It was
at all.
I think it was 5-6 million maybe.
Yeah.
No, for Mike.
Yeah, for Mike.
For Mike.
Three?
Yeah, that's what I thought. 3 years, 1 year.
No.
That's great.
1 year, 3. Yeah, 1 year, 3.5. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's
really good.
Yeah, you take that.
You think I'm crazy for saying they should go get Keenan too, or no?
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't dismiss it. I think with Keenan, I'd wait.
Yeah, so not right now.
After the
draft, I'd wait to see what you're gonna look like, and if it doesn't look great, then you could sign him.
I'm just worried he'd want too much money, and I know it's not my money and all this other stuff, but I just don't want to sign him to some insane thing. Like, let's be team friendly. Let's have a good time. Let's strap it up one more time. Let's go see if we can go get something going, especially too because he could play himself into another contract. Obviously. Yeah, he's obviously up there.
Stephon just got 3 years, 39.
Well, that's what worries me even more now that guy got that type of contract. Like, who knows what Keenan's asking for?
I think with Keenan, because he has such a big personality, and I would be concerned with how that would affect Ladd and Q, and how, in terms of how they're going to fit in that room. With Mike's so low key, like you don't even know he's there. And so I think that's when you talk about adding somebody like Mike, it doesn't have the kind of impact that Keenan would have, because Keenan was your number one guy. So now he's going to come in, he's going to be your number 3 guy. Like, I don't know if that would really work in terms of him fitting in with the rest of those personalities. They kind of went through it a little bit with Antonio. They brought Antonio back, but now he's not the number 1. Kind of Hunter's the number 1. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's, it's in the Hall of Fame.
But I mean, he was super productive, though.
He was
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, all I need, Eric, is guys to catch the damn football when they're open. No more bopping it up to the defense and doing all this other crap. That's right. Check the box. Can you catch the goddamn ball when you're open? Yes or no?
You don't want to see the volleyball taps?
I don't. I've had too much of that. I can't do it anymore. Which, because to me, I think it makes sense, again, for the right price, because what Keenan and Mike, and obviously Ladd, like, you don't need them to play every snap. You know what I mean? Like, if you have that depth, you can space it out, put them in right situations, right areas. You know what I mean? So, especially if you're tight, if you're only other tight end who can catch is Will Dissly, like, get the tight ends off the field then. In passing situations. Let's put our best
pass. A better cat. What'd you think of
obviously, I meant behind him.
He's a good player. I like him.
Well, I just wonder, because Eric, if I'm being truthful, I think they're going to go draft with another receiver. I think that's kind of their better, like, try and get younger at the position. You pay them less money.
Yeah.
You get to have control of them for 4 years, maybe 5. I don't see them going in the first round with a receiver unless, like, something really fell into their lap, like the kid out of Arizona or even Matthew Golden. Either one of them fall in their lap.
Yeah, I was going to say the guy out of Texas. I mean, that guy can fly.
No, if that kid falls into their lap, then great. But there could be a scenario where Warren, Loveland, Golden, the kid out of Arizona, they could all be gone at that point, and the best pick available might be pass rusher, and then you have somebody out. Because this is what I was telling Dan and the viewers of What's Up Bolts. I don't know if I'm okay going in this season with Tuli Tuipulotu as my guy opposite Khalil Mack. Maybe he takes a huge jump this year, but I thought inconsistencies kind of took a toll with him last year. I feel like the first part of the season, he really wasn't like he didn't have any sacks registered. Middle of the season, he had 8.5 throughout 8 games. That's great. But then in the back half of the season, he had 0. So that's kind of, you can't be playing that. You kind of need consistency, especially with a 34-year-old Khalil Mack, especially with a 32-year-old Bud Dupree.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe another young gun. I think they need to come out with 2 pass rushers in this draft. In certain rounds, I think they need a tight end for sure. Receiver, obviously a need. Guard. There's still a lot to be done, but I do think that they're going in the right direction, especially after the freak out that everybody had the first week where, hey, we didn't get DK. Hey, we didn't get who was the other one? Devontae.
Yeah.
And then Poona Ford signed elsewhere. Well, you see some of the guys that they're signing, and I spoke to our buddy in Miami, and I asked him about the defensive tackle that they just signed, Hand. And I was like, what do you think about Hand? He's like, he's a lot more talented than Tier Tart is. And with the correct coaching, he could become a big time player for them. And I'm like, oh, wow. So that was so I mean, and he was the one that told me, hey, with good coaching, Tier Tart is going to be a really good player. And he was last year for the Chargers. So, so yeah, I just think they're doing it with the way they're doing it. They're not going to spend big money. They're kind of getting bargain guys, and they're going to try and build through the draft the same way that they've been doing it in Baltimore for years.
Yeah, I think you kind of answered your own question there at the end, Fernando. Hortiz is from Baltimore, was there a long time. They're a draft and develop franchise. The Chargers are taking a similar approach. And to me, where they sit at in the draft, we know traditionally there's only 12 to 14 blue chip first rounders usually. And so if you're sitting there at 20 or wherever they're sitting, I mean, obviously you'd like to get down if you can and get out of the first and get more picks. But I think they're going to take the best player available, whoever they deem that player is, and ride with it. Maybe it is a pass rusher, maybe it's a receiver, maybe it's an offensive lineman. But I think they're just going to go with the best dude.
Yeah.
I just wonder if like offensive line, I kind of feel like, okay, with the moves that they made, they kind of put I think they're going to do it in the first 3 rounds, but I feel like in the first 2, they have to go, I think, defensive tackle, they still need another one. I think receiver or tight end, and then obviously for some reason, edge also, but running back, I still feel like they're going to try and make a move for one of these running backs, because I know they think that the way the Chargers are, or the way Jim Harbaugh is, they want a 2-headed monster at running back. So if they have a big thumper like Najee, it looks like they could go for a speed guy, one of the kids out of Ohio State or something like that, and kind of do the speed. Because in my opinion, I just don't see J.K. Dobbins coming back. And then I heard kind of a price being thrown out there for him, and I was kind of like, ooh, that's a little rich. So I could see them just drafting another guy. They still have Kimani Vidal on the roster. So I'm pretty sure they're and again, they only 4 players really came out of last year's draft where you were like, okay, those are solid starters. Now it's, can the other guys that they drafted last year, can they take a step forward? Junior Colson is a guy that I know they really want to step up. He was hurt during training camp. You could tell he was just really rusty during the regular season. So that's another guy that I'm sure they're going to count on. But they have some players on there. It's like we said, Eric, the draft is going to be key for these guys moving forward. And that's why, like Dan said, this year could be a divisional round or even a championship round. But with the holes on this team, it's gonna take a couple of years. It's not gonna be. I know Jim Harbaugh and the staff kind of made it look instant because they went from being 5-12 and jumping games up to 11-6, and you're like, oh crap! And then it kind of like you're a locomotive, and then boom, you hit against the wall, and you're like, oh crap! You get blown out by Houston and have a really bad game. But it's about keep building on it.
Yeah, keep getting the roster as talented as you can. I think with this year's draft, I mean, the depth is at D tackle and running back. So
yeah,
if you're talking about
that kid, I like that kid out of Alabama. Like we all know Kenneth Grant. Jim knows him. I saw, you know what's funny, Eric? I saw in some mock drafts right before this all started, Will Johnson going top 10 or whatever. Now I'm seeing him drop to a couple of people have him drop into the Chargers, and I'm kind of like, that's a corner that I don't think Jim would hesitate to go up and grab. 6'2", lengthy. He would do well with Tarheeb, Cam. I think you might have the most physical cornerback room if you have Cam Hart and you have Will Johnson. Obviously, he got injured last year, but I thought that was pretty interesting to see him fall.
Yeah, I don't think he gets by the Niners at 11.
Oh, that'd be interesting. They'll just bring back Jason Verrett.
Oh, yeah. Niners need a lot of help.
Leave my boy Verrett alone.
I love Verrett. I love Verrett. You know what's funny? Corey Legia told me last time I saw him that he had dinner with Verrett and he told him about me. He's like, I remember that dude. He's like, he always had a smile on his face. No matter if he was getting shitted on by somebody or whatever it was, he always had a smile on his face. I was like, tell him I appreciate that.
He's one of those guys you just wish he could have figured out a way to stay healthy because the talent was there. I mean,
dude, half the season he played for the Chargers.
The two games that I remember, Alshon Jeffrey and Antonio Brown, both of them couldn't do anything.
AB up.
Yeah, AB was pissed after the game. I remember that. But